they actually do tell on themselves, even without confessing. You just got to listen to the words coming out of their mouths. You got to listen carefully. They're not as smart as you might think. They've conditioned you from the beginning to make you think that they're so smart, to make you think that they're like the most powerful ones, but they're actually not. They're actually not as smart as you might think. So there's kind of two ways that I'm going to tell you how they tell on themselves. All right. So the first one is through projection. What they do is they project, and it's projection either onto you or onto others. All right. So how they do that is what they're accusing you of. So they may accuse you of cheating. They may accuse you of lying. They may accuse you of all sorts of things. So what it is like, what are they doing in your text messages? You know, you're a cheater, you're a liar, they don't trust you. Or they may say, you know, that person down the street is a cheater, that person down the street is a liar, that guy is unfaithful to his wife, or this person is, or that woman is, or that person's an alcoholic, or that person smokes pot all the time. Whatever it is, it's usually a lot of times what it is that they're doing. So you got to listen to the words coming out of their mouths. A lot of times what they're accusing you of, or what they're accusing somebody else of, is pretty much what their problem is. So the projection and deflection that they're doing is a lot of times they're telling on themselves. Okay, so that's number one. And they think they're so slick, by the way. They're really not all that slick. And it's kind of not all that smart. It's sort of like, I don't know, I may get in hot water by saying that. It's sort of like when OJ wrote the book, If I Did It, you know, it's sort of like really super icky. Like, why would he have done that? I don't know. But anyway, so if you think that they're so slick, I mean, just put that in the comments, like, so slick. I mean, they think that they are, but they're not. I mean, I can just tell you, like, when I was practicing law, people would come into my office and they'd be like, oh my God, you know, I don't know if you're going to be able to go up against this person. They're so smart, you know, and it's really more like, that's what the person was conditioned to believe from the other person. They're really not all that smart. And I want you to just think about that. A lot of times it's not that they're all that smart, that you just been conditioned to believe that a lot of times. All right. And, you know, let me tell you, when reality sinks in for the narcissist a lot of times, and they realize that the other side has like woken up to realize that they're not snowed by that other person anymore, it's a dawn of a new day for them. So, and you can check out my video on that whole topic, by the way, called When Reality Sinks In for the Narcissist. I highly recommend that you check out that video. All right. So then the second way that narcissists tell on themselves is when they get a whole new source of supply, because they can't help themselves. So like, it's like they're all pumped up and excited about that. So there's a massive change in them. So you'll see a change in their appearance a lot of times. You know, they either lose a lot of weight, or they start wearing their hair differently. Maybe they even actually get a plastic surgery, or they get new veneers on their teeth, or they get changed their hair color, or they start to be really much more secretive, and they change their schedule, and all of a sudden they talk differently, and all of a sudden they're talking to different people, or they start telling you about certain conversations that they're having with people. But then when you ask them about certain conversations, they'll only tell you about conversations that they had with people around the new source of supply, but they leave out the direct new source of supply. So they don't tell you about the new person specifically, but they'll tell you about other people that they're talking to. And then when you ask them about that conversation, then they can't remember parts of the conversation, and all of a sudden things aren't adding up. and it starts to get kind of hazy and fuzzy, and parts of the conversation will be missing, and then other parts will be really specific, but other parts they can't remember at all, and parts of the conversation will be like complete gaps, but other parts they remember all of it, and then they will go missing for periods of time completely, and you can't figure out why, and their lives will start to not add up as to why they were late or couldn't make it home. And then the gaslighting will start, like, "Oh, we talked about that I was going to be late and I told you," and things like that will start to happen. They're so excited about their new source of supply that they want to share it with you because they love their new source of supply. And that's like the kind of sick thing about it, because they like want to tell you about it, but they can't really tell you all about it because they can't really tell you all about it, but they're so excited about it. So it's kind of like this dichotomy that they're going through, because they can't tell you everything about it. They kind of tell on themselves in certain ways. So, anyway, that's kind of how they tell on themselves, either through projection, what they're accusing you of or others of, or if they're cheating on you or they have a new source of supply, you'll sort of see it in that way. And even if they're cheating on you and it's a business situation, which I've seen as well, they kind of get excited about their new business deal and they kind of can't help themselves but get excited about that. It's also sort of similar in how they change their appearance and how they get excited about their new business deal. And it's still very similar how they kind of tell on themselves about it in that way, by the way. So today we're going to be diving into the 5 telltale signs of a narcissist's desperate attempt to regain control. But remember that it's not all controlling individuals who are narcissists, but narcissists often display these behaviors when they feel like they're losing grip on power. All right, so let's dive in. So the first one is increasing control. So that's that first sign that that narcissist is making that desperate bid to regain control. Is they're trying to regain every aspect of control over your life. So for example, they might start dictating how you dress. "I don't like that outfit. I don't like that skirt. I don't like that thing that you're wearing right now." Or they might dictate how you're eating. Even, "I don't like that food that you're eating right now. What do you think you're doing? Who you're spending time with? That's ridiculous who you're spending time with." They expect commands to be followed without question. Any resistance at all is a problem, because they don't want any kind of independence. Anything that you do, any sort of thinking on your own, is met with anger, frustration. There's this underlying anger that you can just feel, that rage right underneath the surface all the time. And that stems from their fear of losing power over you, of losing control over you, of losing that dominance over you. And by the way, if you think that you're going to be negotiating with a narcissist anytime soon, because remember, when they lose that grip over you, you become public enemy number 1. So you're going to want to make sure that you're in that control position. I've got a free ebook for you, a free 15-page ebook, which you can get at winmynegotiation.com, winmynegotiation.com. So make sure you grab that too. All right, sign number 2 is manipulation tactics. Manipulation tactics. All right, narcissists are masters of manipulation. They employ tactics such as guilt tripping and gaslighting to gain control over that upper hand. Remember what gaslighting is? It's trying to question your memory. "Oh, we didn't have that conversation. That never happened." For instance, they may try to make you feel guilty for having a different opinion than you, or manipulate your emotions to make you doubt your own judgment. They might make you question your own reality, your own emotions. making it easier for them to maintain control over you. They want to make you feel confused, to discombobulate you so that you feel like you're losing your grip over yourself. All of these are manipulation tactics, and they're crucial for you to understand that so that you can break free from their grasp. I want you to check out another video that I have, which is 5 sneaky phrases that narcissists use to diminish your self-esteem. So it's just all manipulation tactics that they use. Sign number 3 is obsession to details. Obsession with details. So this is a huge red flag. And it's, they have this sudden and extreme interest in irrelevant details and facts. They might start obsessing over trivial things like how you arrange the dishes in the cabinet or how you fold your clothes. And they use this as a means to distract you from real issues because they're engaged in these power games, and they fixate on these trivial matters because it's a false sense of control. Again, trying to control you, trying to make sure that you understand that they're still in control because they're fearing that they're losing that grip over you. So they're diverting attention away from their own manipulation tactics. And while this is happening, you're going to start feeling like you're losing your mind and it's draining the energy out of you. So if this is happening to you, I want you to make sure that you get the support and help that you need. Join my free support group, which is Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. I also have a sponsor on this channel, which is BetterHelp. So go to betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung and get the help and support that you need through therapy. It's a sponsor that we have, so we receive commissions on that. You don't pay any extra on that, but we just want you to have resources that you can trust. Get the help and support that you need. The next one is excessive criticism. Narcissists have a relentless need to criticize and belittle you. So, it might just be like a little thing like, why are you wearing that? What are you doing? They constantly find faults in your actions and make you feel like you can never do anything right. I mean, just might be a little like, oh, why are you wearing lipstick? When are you doing that? I mean, so they might criticize your cooking. Oh, it's not very good. It's whatever. Your appearance, your career choices. Oh, I don't think you do a very good job with that. It reinforces their superiority, their control, and it just chip away at your self-esteem. Oh, that's a bad decision. Oh, that's never going to get very far. They want you to be reliant on their validation. That's why. It's just wrong, and you don't need them. You are powerful. So I want you to put that in the comments right now. I am powerful. I am powerful. So put that right now, because when you say I am, whatever follows I am is something that you are placing in order to the universe, right? So you're not beholden to them. You are not beholden to them. You are placing an order to the universe. You are powerful. And then the last thing that they do is bringing up past wrongs. Oh my gosh, they'll bring up something from, especially if you're trying to say, hey, this isn't right. What you're doing right now isn't right. They'll bring up something from 10 years ago. You talked to somebody on Facebook, 10 years ago. I mean, it's a desperate bid to regain control, bringing up something that you allegedly did to them. So they use these past incidents as ammunition to hurt you or divert from their own behavior, because they don't want to be held responsible for their own behavior or to make a point. So they bring up a mistake that you did 10 years ago or 15 years ago, whatever, to guilt you into something or to deflect away from their own behavior or their whatever the current issues are. And by keeping you on the defensive, they ensure that you are under their influence. So there you have it. Those are 5 telltale signs that the narcissist is under this desperate last bid to try to regain control, that it's slipping away. And if you've noticed these behaviors, then you know that you are actually winning. You're actually getting there. You're actually breaking free. You're actually gaining ground. And it's crucial to keep going, but also get that help and support that you need and take steps to protect your emotional well-being. The next video that I want you to watch is self-care when you're dealing with a narcissist. All right, so it's a video that I've also made. Before you do that, make sure you like this video, make sure you share it with anybody else that you think could actually benefit from it as well, and protect yourself. Protect your emotional well-being. Know that you're on the right path. Know that you're doing the right thing. Know that authentic power always beats fake power, that fake power that they are going for. Have you ever met somebody, they started off to be the most charming, charismatic person you've ever met in your life. Then they turned out to be your worst nightmare. And then when you go to negotiate with them, they're a living hell. Well, I developed something called the SLAY method of negotiating with narcissists, and it has helped tens of thousands of people in more than 150 countries win, go from feeling drained and defeated to getting the outcomes they want. And the reason why it works is because I spent more than 20 years studying narcissism as a trial attorney, and now I'm here to help you win too, and also take your suffering and turn it into your superpower. Take your pain and turn it into profit, peace, and purpose as a highly specialized high conflict negotiation coach. If you want to learn how to do it, then just go to RebeccaZung.com/apply and I will show you how. I've seen them all: covert, overt, grandiose, malignant. Believe me, I've seen them all. So I know what the red flags are that you are in a relationship with a narcissist. And I don't want you to go down that path. So let's dive in and figure out if you are in a relationship with a narcissist right now. Okay. So, number one, it's too much too soon. Too much too soon. Right away, you just feel intoxicated by this person. They're sweeping you off your feet, but you're just like, you can't breathe almost, because they want to just move in with you right away. They want to get you into a contract right away. They want to get whatever that next level is. They want to get you to that next level as soon as possible. And so when you are with the person that is just flooding you almost immediately with, if you've got kids, I got to meet your kids. If you've got family, I want to meet your family. I want to move in. I want to, get to that next level as soon as possible. Flooding your emails, flooding your texts. You're the one. You're my soulmate. We have our star crossed. They are letting you know that they've never met anybody like you before. They make you feel like you are the most incredible human being they've ever met. They intoxicate you with their charm, their charisma. Usually they're very well dressed. They're very well groomed. They're very well spoken. They are pretty incredible with everything lining up perfectly. And they've studied you, by the way. They've read you. They know how to read the room. They know how to read you. They've mirrored you. They know how to show up so that all the pheromones are going off, and you're just completely swept off your feet thinking, where has this person been all my life? And this is in a business situation or a romantic situation, by the way. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what kind of a situation it is. And no boundaries. No boundaries, by the way. At the beginning of the relationship, wherever you are, that's where they are. They are everywhere. They are showing up, emails, texts. They are seriously flooding you all the time. It is just too much too soon. So that's number one. That's the love bombing stage. They call it the idealization phase. They're literally conditioning you. This is their input phase. This is the deposits because they are getting ready to make some hefty withdrawals. And this does not last. They'll say whatever they need to get you to that next level. They'll future fake you to the moon because, they can say whatever they want to say because they don't plan on delivering any of it. You've heard the term bait and switch. That's bait and switch to the hilt. Okay. The next thing that you will hear, another big, huge red flag, oftentimes that you're in a relationship with a narcissist, is many times there's some sob story about their past. Whether or not they had a horrible childhood, they had terrible trauma, they had a horrible ex, that, usually it's some ex that was awful, keeping their kids away from them. There's some victim thing going on about something. They want you to feel sorry for them because they're conditioning to see if you're going to be empathetic, if you are going to be a good person, if you're going to be a good source of supply. They're going to see if you're caring and take care of them. So they're going to let you know about how awful things have been for them. And you're going to want to say, oh no, this is awful. There's going to be something about their past or something that's going to draw you in. Okay, so some sob story about how awful things have been with them in the past. All right. So that's the second thing. Some family relationship that's terrible. All right. The third thing, this third major red flag is they're immediately going to be very jealous of your time and attention with other people, and especially people that you're close to. Why do you need to spend time with them? You have me. Why are you spending so much time on the phone? Let's spend time just with each other. Things of that nature. Come on, let's spend time just the two of us. We don't get enough time with just us. They're going to immediately start to isolate you from the people that you're close to, from the people that you have spent the most of time with. Oh, your friends are so immature. Oh, they don't really like me, things like that. So immediately jealous of you. Oh, that person was looking at you. I don't like that. And, sometimes if you are an insecure person, you might like that this person is jealous, or you might like that. It can be a huge red flag if this person is overly controlling, overly jealous. I don't like you when you're wearing that. I don't like when you're wearing that outfit. That's too revealing. Things like that. That can be not a good sign when they're overly jealous or controlling like that right from the beginning. That's a huge red flag. Right. And if you've seen any of these things so far, give me a totally in the comments. And if you've seen that, then it's probably a huge red flag. All right. Next one, I alluded to this at the beginning with the too much too soon, is they want that immediate commitment. Immediate commitment. This is where they're looking for, I want to move in. I want you to marry me. I want you to sign something. I want you to get to that next level right away. They want to get to the devalue stage as quickly as possible, because once they lock you in, once they get to that next level, then they can start to relax a little bit and get to what they want to really be able to do, which is start making some withdrawals. I want to really start collecting on some narcissistic supply here. I don't really want to have to keep making deposits because, it's kind of exhausting for them. They don't want to have to keep, satisfying your needs at all, actually. So they want an immediate commitment, right? So they want to lock you down. They want to lock down that source of supply. So that's number 4. Number 5 is the future faking. The future faking. Planning right away what it's all going to look like. Right away. What the future is. We're going to get married. We're going to have babies. We're going to, like, within the first 2 weeks, even sometimes, we're going to have this life together. We're going to live on a farm. We're going to live in a city. We're going to have a big house. All of these things right away. Whether or not they plan on delivering any of that doesn't matter, because they want to immediately lock you in. They want to get you to that commitment right away. All right, what is going on with those narcissist eyes? 1 minute they're normal and the next blank and wicked, right? And sometimes they just seem like they're completely devoid of emotion, and sometimes they're just staring at you. Why? What is going on? Well, I mean, for one thing, they need that narcissistic supply. They need to know that what's going on in their world. They need to be constantly scanning and knowing what's going on, because that is how they're reading the room. They learned from a very, very early age how to read the room, how to read the people around them, because that's how they survive. They are very, very good at reading people. So, one thing is that for sure, covert narcissists are constantly staring at people because they're trying to actually study people to become them. They almost are using those mirror neurons to become those people and become their targets, become you. And they want to study how to love bomb you the best, and how to see what it is that they need to become. So one of the things they do is they're constantly looking at you to do that. But another reason that they stare at you and they look at you is because they do it to control you. They do it to let you know that they have you, to make sure that you know that they are constantly tracking you, that you are never out of their purview. And you can kind of feel it. You can always sort of feel that they're watching you. And it's very, very creepy. And they do it in a way that you know that they're right there. They do it in a way that you feel like you're not really a person. It's not a person who's watching. If there's a person who's looking at you with care or with concern or with love, you feel that, you can sense that. This is a person who's looking at you not as a person. It's as a threat. It's more like a death stare. It's more like, I'm going to get what I want. You belong to me. You know it, and I know it. And especially when you are in that discard phase, when you're in that discard phase and you've become public enemy number 1, and they want to take you down, they're looking at you to let you know that you're going to pay for discarding them or becoming that threat, becoming the person who's on the other side of them. Because for a narcissist, you're either for them or against them. And if you're against them, then you are the enemy, because now you might know things about them. So they feel exposed. They feel that you could be a threat to them. So they want to make sure that you know that they are watching. And, when narcissists have that part of their brain take over, that limbic system part of their brain take over, rationality is not here. It's here, and they're not thinking clearly, so they're essentially logging out. Reason is logging out, and it's another part of their brain is taking over. And that's why It does seem like it's sort of an empty stare when they're looking at you like that. That's why it does sort of seem like an evil stare that's looking at you that way. And it does sort of seem like they sort of cease to exist because it's not this part of the brain. It's that other part of the brain that is a completely different part of the brain than the regular part of the brain. It's that limbic system that takes over, that sometimes they don't even remember what it is that they're doing and saying when they're in that rage part of their brain. That narcissistic rage takes over. That narcissistic injury has been triggered, and that narcissistic rage takes over, and they start to do things. And it can be quite scary, especially if you're dealing with a malignant narcissist who will tend to do things like stalking or engage in acts of violence. It can be quite scary. And if you are dealing with a malignant narcissist, then please do what you need to do to protect yourself and go to a shelter, or make sure that you have a good support system in place. Make sure that you have, you've gotten that stash of cash in place. You have a place to go. You've taken care of maybe getting the right attorneys in place. You have the right therapists in place. You have everything that you need to get in place. Maybe you need to get injunctions in place, that sort of thing. Because if you are dealing with a person who is in that state of mind, they're not being rational. Okay. And so it's almost like they're blacking out sometimes when they're like that. And by the way, if you do need therapy and you don't have access to online therapy, we do have a sponsor on this channel, which is BetterHelp, and you can get access to that at betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung. We receive commissions on that. You do not pay any extra on that. We just want you to have access to good, reliable sources of help, that has been vetted. And by the way, if you need phrases for disarming narcissists, you can grab those at disarmthenarc.com. Disarmthenarc.com for phrases for disarming narcissists. There's another crazy thing, that there is actually a scientific explanation for the evil looking eyes. Anger activates a person's sympathetic nervous system, or SNS, which causes physiological responses such as increased heart rate or blood pressure, rapid breathing, and pupil dilation. It actually causes people's pupils to dilate. And so people's eyes actually do go dark when that happens. And that narcissists will play any cards that they have. And if they can explain their unfavorable behavior in some way, they will. That's the problem here. We never know when this is actually going to be happening. And so this physiological response is happening in response to anger. And when that narcissistic injury is triggered, then that's when that narcissistic rage can happen. And you just never know when that's going to happen with a narcissist, because that narcissistic rage can happen when they're slighted at any time. And you never know when they're going to be slighted, because they can be slighted at the smallest of things, I mean, they can be slighted because the waitress at the restaurant didn't bring them their drink on time, or somebody looked at them funny, or somebody cut them off in traffic, or whatever. So I mean, when this thing happens, when they're logging out, they're blacking out, this behavior can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. So you do want to be aware of when this is happening, so that you can start to see the signs. You can start to see when this is going to be potentially, coming on. And remember, there's never, ever, ever an acceptable excuse for abuse. There's never an acceptable excuse for abuse. Whether or not they remember it doesn't matter. They could be lying, by the way, to get you to forgive them since they weren't being themselves, or maybe they'll tell you they had a stressful day at work, or they had an abusive childhood, or they have a lot going on in their lives, or they could be blaming you. It's your fault. You didn't provide enough sympathy or empathy or enough compassion for them, or you looked at them funny, or you talked too loud at dinner, or whatever their excuses. There's never an acceptable excuse for abuse. Okay. And they can never say things like they would never hurt you on purpose, they didn't mean to. Any kind of apology like that is also not acceptable. It doesn't matter. That's not acceptable either. All right. It is not okay. And I want you to put that in the comments right now. Not okay. Not okay. Got it? All right. Not okay. Whether they are knowingly hurting you or they're just becoming so angry that they allow their body to take over and hurt you, and they're saying they don't remember or whatever it is, you deserve better. You deserve safety. You deserve physical, emotional, sexual safety, if that's what it is, God forbid. But seeing those narcissist eyes change and literally get darker is a sign that something is going on, that there's a problem. And you should definitely get as far away from them as possible in that moment. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's be real. Therapy can feel like a really big investment, but your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Traditional in-person therapy can cost $100 to $250 per session, but with BetterHelp, you can save up to 50% per session on average. You pay a flat weekly fee, which means more peace of mind for less. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. BetterHelp gives you that, all from the comfort from your home. And with over 30,000 therapists to choose from and 5 million people served globally, this is the world's largest online therapy platform, and you can switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/negotiate today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/negotiate. I am wanting you to make sure that you are empowered. Make sure that you have all the tools that you need to become the best version of yourself, because it's time for you to find your power, to be authentically so free, because then you can turn around and actually really know what your mission is, really know what your purpose is, really know what your soul is here for on this planet. There's a quote by Rumi that says, "The wound is the place that the light enters you." And that means that your pain becomes your purpose. And that's what we're going to be talking about all the time. Once you really know what your pain is for. I know it doesn't seem like it's for a purpose all the time, but I guarantee you that it is. For one thing, I want to say to you is that Narcissist Beyond Redemption, the thing I really want you to understand is that part of the thing I don't want you to focus on so much is what's going on with that narcissist. Yeah, it's important to know, should you stay in a relationship, what's happening with them. Maybe they could be saved, maybe they can't. But the most important thing that you really need to be worrying about and focused on is you and saving yourself. I mean, that oxygen mask be put on yourself first? Yes. And I'm going to make that point again here in a moment. Okay, let's talk about whether or not that narcissist can be saved. Is there any redemption in there? And I get that. I get that if you are an empath. I get that if you've been in a relationship with them for a long time. I get that if maybe it's your mom, it's your dad, it's your sister, it's your brother, it's your kid, or maybe it's just somebody that you love and you just want to see, is this somebody who can be saved? So here's the thing that you need to understand, that narcissism is something that happens to a person as a result of trauma. It's something that's going on within their brain. It happened during childhood as a result of trauma. While you can sit around and go, you need to change and you need to do this and you need to do that, a lot of times it is subconscious. It is happening within the limbic system part of their brain as a result of trauma that happened during the formation of their brain. Because when they were a child, they were exposed to something that happened on a continuous basis, and cortisol and adrenaline were abounding in their brain because of the fight or flight stress response. And as a result, there was arrested development in that limbic system, in that emotional center part of their brain. While narcissism is a spectrum, and narcissistic personality disorder is a full-blown disorder, it is an actual disorder. There is a spectrum, right? So people could have narcissistic traits or tendencies. It causes a lack of empathy because all they can see is themselves. They're like basically 2-year-olds having tantrums. When they don't get what they want, that limbic system becomes activated again, and that part of their brain takes over. And now that's all that is they can see. While they do know what they're doing, they don't necessarily know what they're doing. It's because that's their way of being. It's how they know how to be in the world. It's their survival mechanism. They have a need for admiration. They have a need to manipulate. It's how they show up in the world. Just like if somebody happens to be on the autism spectrum, that's how they show up in the world. Or if somebody happens to have diabetes, that's what's going on in their body. You have to understand that that's what's going on with them. Yeah, maybe they can reprogram their network of neurons, sure, but they really got to want to. By its very nature, it's not the type of personality disorder that is the type that goes, I want to take responsibility for myself and my actions, so let me change. You have to be the one who can take responsibility for yourself and take care of yourself. I hope I'm making sense to you. And if you're understanding me, I want you to say, I understand in the comments below. I understand in the comments below. It's hard enough to change ourselves. It's hard enough to take care of ourselves. It's hard enough to rewire our own brains. I always say I can never leave my thoughts unsupervised, and that the very first negotiation that we have to do is in the morning with our own minds for our own self-worth, let alone try to reach in and make somebody else change. That's really tough. Expecting somebody else to change and sitting around waiting for somebody else to change is really hard. What's the sign that they're beyond redemption? They're not looking to change. They're getting worse. They are beyond interested in changing. Their behavior is actually degrading. They're actually keeping less promises than they ever have in the past. They're actually showing up for you less than they ever have. Now you know for sure there's no way that you're getting anything that you wanted from this person. So it's time for you to move on. You have to look at the evidence and reality of what's actually happening and put those boundaries down and say to yourself, I know that I'm worth more than this. You can't move the goalpost for yourself and go, well, maybe this time, well, maybe that, well, maybe this. Don't do that for yourself. It's time. And if you need phrases for disarming narcissists to help you, go to disarmthenarc.com. Get phrases for disarming narcissists. They will help you to start putting down those boundaries, start seeing them as that 2-year-old having that tantrum on the floor, so that you can start to be able to know what to say to them and show up the way that you need to in a strong way. Disarmthenarc.com. Join my free private Facebook group. That will help you as well. Start to gather yourself and become the person that you were put on this planet to be. As they're degrading, as they're getting worse, as they are starting to treat you more and more poorly, it's not going to get better. And the stronger that you become, the more that you become your authentic self, the worse they're going to be. And you need to be your whole self. That's what you were meant to do. You can't make yourself smaller so that they feel bigger. They're never going to feel big enough. It's never going to be enough. It's a black hole that can never be filled. It's time for you to shine your star and become who you were meant to be.
All right. So if you are dealing with a narcissist and you're receiving gifts from them, you know what it's like. There's something that's off. You can tell, you can feel it. You know it doesn't feel sincere. You know it doesn't feel like what a true gift should feel like. And if the hair on the back of your neck is standing up or your gut doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. So today we're going to cover gifts that are red flags of narcissists. Let me tell you, during the love bombing phase, you can expect to be showered with gifts of all sorts. The narcissist is going to seem like they're really thoughtful, that they're kind, that they're generous. And in the beginning, that's probably true. But once that love bombing phase is over, you can expect different types of gifts. You can expect gifts that maybe you don't even want, maybe you didn't ask for, maybe it's just like no thought put into it whatsoever. So here are some gifts that could be red flags that you are dealing with a narcissist. Number one is exercise equipment. I actually had a cousin who, her ex-husband, they're now divorced, so to the surprise of no one, actually gave her like an abdominizer or something to like tighten her abs because he was like a hint. This was a long time ago, but I don't even think those things exist anymore. But it's an abdominizer is, supposed to help you tone your abs. And it's a perfect example of a narcissist giving you something that's basically like a hint. Like, oh, you could look a little bit better. I want you to be a little bit in better shape. And they give you a gym membership or something like that. And it's not something that you would have wanted. It's not perceived as generous. They're using the opportunity to devalue you. A gym membership or Peloton might be what you wanted, but maybe not. So if you never dropped hints about wanting exercise equipment of any kind, it's probably a sign that you're dealing with a narcissist. The next thing is their favorite thing. All right. So another sign that you might be dealing with a narcissist is you get a gift that the narcissist potentially wants for him or herself. So it might be tickets to their favorite musician or band, or a gift certificate to their favorite restaurant. Unless a narcissist knows that they're going to be seeing a return on their investment, they just don't want to have to give up their supply. They're inherently very, very selfish people. So gift giving is seen to them as an obligation, right? It's something they have to do in order to continue getting supply, in order to save face because they know that they're supposed to do it. So a gift to the narcissist is often disguised, or maybe even not so disguised, as a thoughtful and generous gift to whoever is receiving it. But it's very often something that is a perfect way for them to shower themselves in a gift, right? This is how the narcissist mind works. Pretty crazy. Okay, another big red flag is a photo of themselves. I've seen this before in certain situations. It's a very odd kind of a thing. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be thoughtful or cute or whatever, but it's really meant to keep your attention on them. And it's usually disguised under the love bombing efforts, or it's meant to maybe make a connection with you in some way, but it's really meant to boost their ego. And and then also, if you display it, then everybody knows how much you adore them and love them. Very classically narcissist. The next thing is um, like a sale item or a clearance item, something that they got for, super cheap or whatever. They'll intentionally purchase things, um, on sale or super clearance, even if they don't have to, even if they have plenty of money. They don't want to have to give you a gift at all. So spending more than the bare minimum is not what they want to do. So they know they have to show up with something, otherwise they're going to look bad, but they just put in minimal effort and as little money as possible into getting whatever they need to get. So they don't want to have to think about what the other person is really going to want. They just want to look good in the process. Another thing is the wrong size. So sometimes it might be a hint, like they get you a large when they know that you're a small. It might be just to put you down, to devalue you in that way. Or they might get you something that's too small, knowing that it's going to be too small because then it would potentially look bad on you, especially if you're feeling insecure about your weight. They're going to address this intentionally by purchasing a size that's off from what you actually are. It's definitely something to expect from a covert narcissist because they're experts at passive aggressive devaluing. If you guys have dealt with this, I'm just going to tell you, like, just say thank you, no thank you in the comments. All right, just thank you, but no thank you, because this is not something that you need in your life. And if you are dealing with this, make sure you join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung, and also get my free Crush My Negotiation Prep playbook, because you're probably going to need it, especially going into the new year. All right. So the other thing is empty promises. So they might just show up empty-handed completely and nothing at all other than a promise of a gift in the future. So, remember, they're good at future faking. So what they do is they say, well, I can't afford to get you anything right now. But I'm going to get you something better down the road. Or they might say, I ordered something for you in the mail. It hasn't come yet. And they probably just ordered it that day, or they haven't even ordered it yet. So it's a way to push you off, and then also devalue you in the process, because they're showing how little they think of you by not getting you anything on time, right? And then the final thing is regifting. Regifting in and of itself isn't bad, but some gifts are better suited for a different recipient. And they obviously sometimes regift things like half-used perfume. I've seen that. I've seen, old books that are clearly yellowing and they try to pass it off as brand new. Like they don't, it's just the lack of thoughtfulness and the lack of care about the recipient who is receiving the gifts. They don't think about the impact. They only think about themselves. And they want to put in as little money, time, energy, and effort as possible into doing something for you, as you know. So, and what's really crazy is if you have a reaction that's like less than, oh my God, so delighted and so happy, then they step into the role of playing the victim, right? How could you not appreciate me? How could you not put so much thought into this, so much effort, whatever it is? Like, now they're going to be the victim of it. So be aware of this and understand who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with, and just receive the gift for whatever it is, and try not to engage any further into their potential toxicity, because it's not going to get you anywhere. All right. So those are some of the gifts that are red flags of narcissists. I would love to know, what other gifts you have seen that are potentially red flags of narcissism.
Summer's right around the corner, and I'm already planning my next getaway. I love using points for travel, and I'm always looking for ways to earn more. Here's a life hack I wish I'd known sooner. When you pay your rent through Bilt, you earn flexible, transferable points and unlock exclusive benefits along the way. Let me explain. There's no cost to join, and when you pay your rent through Bilt, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. When you pay your rent through Bilt, you unlock two powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month, no matter where you live or who your landlord is. Your rent now works for you. Second, you gain access to exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. Bilt's neighborhood benefits are things like extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, free mats or towels at your favorite fitness studios, and unique benefits or experiences that only Bilt members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Bilt points can be converted to your favorite miles and hotel points around the world, meaning that your rent can literally take you places. So if you're not earning points on Bilt rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start paying your rent through Bilt and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbilt.com/negotiate. That's joinbilt.com/negotiate. Make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. That's joinbilt/negotiate to sign up to joinbilt.com/negotiate today. So we're diving deep into how to avoid marrying a narcissist. As someone who has seen lots and lots of people come through not just my high conflict negotiation certification programs, my SLAY programs, I've seen a lot of people who have dealt with this, and I've seen firsthand the havoc narcissistic relationships can wreak. So I want to make sure that you guys have all the tools that you need to protect yourself in avoiding that narcissistic person. So make sure that you also get my Disarm the Narc phrases for expert strategies on disarming narcissists at disarmthenarc.com. Trust me, it's a game changer. So let's start by identifying the warning signs that could indicate the narcissistic tendencies in a potential partner. One of the most glaring red flags is the lack of empathy. Narcissists struggle to empathize with others, often prioritizing their own needs above everyone else. For example, let's say you're sick, you're like really feeling bad. This can happen very early on in the relationship. You're with somebody and they just can't muster any empathy for you. I've seen situations where the relationship went on pretty well until the person got sick, and then that's when the other person's true colors showed up. Like, I was actually talking to somebody recently whose spouse, when they got cancer, their spouse actually never even came with them to their chemo, never even showed up, actually was like talking about what a burden it was. All kinds of like horrible things were said to them when they got sick with chemo. Talk about a lack of empathy. I mean, it was pretty shocking. So if you know that you're with somebody who just literally has no empathy whatsoever, that's a huge red flag. If you're with that kind of a person before you marry them, that is something that you definitely want to get out of before you marry that person. If somebody's dismissing your feelings early on, let's say you're telling them about something that's going on at work, and they're like, oh, that doesn't sound that bad or whatever, or they're unable to grasp the depths of your emotions, they're disregarding your emotional well-being, that's not a good sign. The next sign is excessive admiration or grandiosity. Confidence is great. You want somebody who has confidence. You want somebody who has a lot of self-worth too. But an inflated ego, a constant need for validation, telltale signs of narcissism. Let's say you're the person that you're with constantly boasting about their achievement, constantly seeking validation and admiration at every turn. It's like, I'm so great at this. I'm so great at that. Oh, don't you think I'm good? Don't you think I did a great job? Don't you think I look good? How do I look in these pants? How do I look in this outfit? And then constantly getting you to like tell them how wonderful they were. And where it just becomes like draining and suffocating, where you just feel like it's overshadowing any genuine connection, any genuine intimacy in the relationship. It's all about them all the time. Then you know that it's just too much. That's another telltale sign. And by the way, if you guys have seen this, put I've seen it in the comments below. Another one is if your partner is using manipulation tactics to control your every move, from guilt tripping you to gaslighting you. And their relentless pursuit of power leaves you feeling trapped and powerless, like questioning your own reality. So they're constantly gaslighting you or constantly guilt tripping you. So let's just say they're saying things all the time like, oh, we talked about that and you agreed to that, don't you remember? And you know that you didn't have that conversation and you're starting to question your reality about things and making you feel bad about things that you shouldn't be feeling bad about. And you're just feeling kind of icky about things all of a sudden. Like those are huge warning signs that you know that you probably shouldn't have. Oh, I don't remember agreeing to that, or I shouldn't have said that. They're making you feel bad about things that you're doing with your friends or not doing, or making you feel bad about the things that they're doing, and that there's boundaries that are being crossed or shouldn't be crossed, or disrespect happening. You're feeling like your well-being is being stripped in that situation. Because remember that narcissists often disregard boundaries and they view them as obstacles to their control. And so when you're starting to feel that happening, your heart starts not feeling good, your chest is not feeling good, you're feeling it in the pit of your stomach, you know that that's not a good sign. Don't hesitate to enforce those boundaries. Don't hesitate to enforce consequences if that's something that's going on with you. Now, let's talk about self-care, because in the middle of all of this chaos, in the middle of all this craziness, it starts to feel like that frog with the slow boil, right? It's easy to lose sight of your own priorities and your own needs. And they're going to start making you feel selfish. They're going to start to guilt trip you. They're going to start to make you feel like you're the one who's being manipulative, especially if you've got your own self-worth issues, especially if you've got your own needs and your own kind of wounds that you haven't healed, where you feel like, you know what, I'm being bad and all that sort of thing. And it's essential for your own mental health and your own emotional well-being to start putting boundaries in place and making a self-care list, and making that part of your daily routine is going to be essential. All right, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, spending time with loved ones, finding activities that nourish your soul, replenish your spirit. Really, really important. This is going to be your lifeline in turbulent times. Really, really important. So I want you to put a list in the chat right now, in the comments below right now, of the things that you are going to do to take care of yourself right now. Make sure you don't ignore these red flags of a narcissist. What's the first thing that you look for? This is a person who is probably the most charming, most charismatic, most incredible person that you have ever met on the planet. And they make you feel like you are the most special, amazing, incredible human being that they have ever met. The stars have aligned. Where have you been all of their lives? They call it love bombing, but it doesn't matter. It could be a business relationship too. I was in a business relationship with a narcissist, and I know you're over there thinking, wow, where has this person been all my life? Everything you like, they like. Everything that you can imagine, they can imagine. And you know why? Because they're mirroring you. They use these mirror neurons. And so they've been studying you. They've been looking at you because narcissists know how to read people. They've been studying you. It is literally a survival technique that they've learned since childhood. They had trauma when they were children, and the only survival technique that they really know is how to read people and how to get what they want out of people. They know how to use people. So using people for their own gain, for their own opportunistic gain, is the one thing that they're really, really good at. Yes, their true colors show up later on, and it doesn't take that long, quite frankly. But at the beginning, you really feel like, wow, I mean, totally swept up off your feet and almost like you can't breathe, and if you try to see any of those red flags at the beginning, because they start to crop up fairly quickly, they shoot them down as quickly as they come up. They want you to only see those incredible, amazing things right away. Look at how much we have in common. Look at how the stars have aligned. I have all the perfect clients for you, or look at all these things that we have in common. We're just soulmates on every level. And then they want to get to that next level as quickly as possible, whatever it is. If they're in a business relationship with you, or even if it's a personal relationship, they're rushing you to that next level as fast as possible because they want to lock you in as fast as possible, because they want to get to the point where they're taking withdrawals from the relationship. They're depositing at the beginning, but they want to take withdrawals as fast as possible. If it's moving in together, if it's meeting the family, if it's signing contracts, let's become business partners, whatever it is, let's get to that next stage as fast as possible, because they want to start taking withdrawals as quickly as they possibly can. Where can we get to that next level as fast as possible? That's one of the red flags that you'll see, moving as quickly as possible to that next stage. And then as soon as you get to that next stage, you start to see those red flags. The stories don't add up. You see some lying, you see some projection, you see some denying. And this is where you start to see where they start to manipulate. You start to see the lying. You start to see where they're not so interested in you right away. You start to see ghosting. All of a sudden they're not responding to your text messages right away anymore. Now you're needy, very, very hypersensitive to criticism. Even if you might say something about that they came home late, or they don't want to have that for dinner, or whatever, every little thing is potentially a criticism. And then that could become a massive disagreement, a massive personal attack. And you might even find yourself defending them for yourself, because you've made this decision to be in this relationship with them. And if they come across as moody, or, they're late, or they're not doing things in a certain way, and other people are starting to see those true colors, if you find yourself kind of making excuses on their behalf, I want you to look at those red flags on your behalf, because, if you're starting to make excuses for them, well, they had a difficult childhood. Well, they're having a bad week. Well, they didn't have a good day. They didn't get you a birthday present or something, and everybody's sort of noticing they didn't get you a birthday present, and you're having to say, well, they didn't have much money, they had a bad month, or whatever, and you're making excuses for them. I want you to really take note of that. Really think about what it is that you want in a relationship. They would say that they were going to do something and then didn't, or they would lie to a client, and what was going on with that, lying about money, and what's happening with that. If you feel like something underlying is going on, and something is off, like they're not really quite happy for you when they should be. And then you ask them about it. Well, I'm just, why are you pushing on this? I'm not feeling well. It's not that. It's, I just didn't have a good day. I just didn't hear you right. And they're always making excuses. You just can tell they're not really caring about you. And things just feel manipulative. They feel like they're jealous of you. And there's just this underlying current of something going on. Maybe you find out that they said something about you behind your back. And then when you ask them about it, they say, oh, that person was twisting my words. I didn't put it exactly that way. That's not how I said it. But you know that maybe something isn't quite right. I've seen them in all shapes and sizes, and I know what happens when a narcissist knows that you have figured them out. And so in this video, I'm going to give you exactly what happens when a narcissist knows that you know. So I want to give you all the tips and tricks so that you can be prepared with what you need to do so you can plan and be ready. Okay, so take notes so that you can prepare and be ready. So the first thing that you need to do is stop all communication immediately. What happens is that they start going crazy because with a narcissist, you're either for them or against them. They don't see things in gray. There's not going to be any working it out. There's not going to be any let's talk things through. I mean, at the beginning, there will be. At the beginning, they're going to be like, oh, maybe they can love bomb you through it. They can talk you into staying or whatever. But I'm talking about after that. I'm talking about you've been through that phase. You've gone through all of that part of it. Now they figured out that you're past all of that, and they realize they've exhausted all of their charm, all of their last ditch efforts. They've tried to guilt you. They've tried to do all of those things, and you're not falling for it anymore. You're done. Once they figured that out, then that mask comes falling off. Now you're going to become public enemy number one. So now they have to take you down, before you can take them down. They figure you've got secrets about them. They figure you're going to potentially expose them. And I'm talking about whether this is a romantic relationship or whether this is a business relationship. I was in a business partnership with a narcissist, so I know, I've seen it myself. I've been through that. And if you think that you're going to be able to nicely tie a bow around this, you're going to be able to be the one who's going to be able to, manage this, I'm telling you that you can't. Because if you're truly in a relationship with a narcissist, you can't. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, I invite you to do that now, because I do upload videos every single day to help you with exactly this sort of thing. It's my mission to help you break free from relationships with narcissists and give you all the information that you need so that you can become powerful and take back your life. So what happens is many times you're going to try to say, hey, look at all the things that I did for you, or look at the relationship that we had, or let's not burn this to the ground, and let's try to be friends after, or let's try to preserve what we had, or let's just come to a great resolution, or all of those things. None of that's going to happen. As much as they say that that's what they want, or think that that's what they want, or maybe even that's what they think that they want, their ego won't let them. They're going to try, but their ego will not let them. If you say, the only thing that I want is this, that's going to be the one thing that they're going to make sure that they go after and you don't get. Okay. So just stop all communications with the narcissist immediately. So that's number one. Stop all communications with the narcissist immediately. Don't promise them things. Don't say you're going to do certain things. Don't engage in conversations. Don't say, okay, you can have this, or I promise that I won't do this or that or whatever. Don't go into those kinds of things, because what's going to happen is you're going to start giving away leverage early on that you might actually need down the road, especially with this narcissist. I'm telling you that it's going to happen. So just stop all communication with the narcissist right away, including texting, including social media, by the way. Just don't even post things on social media, and don't engage with their minions on social media either. If you know that they have a particular relationship with somebody, don't engage with that person either. Don't say that you're going to meet up with them at the local coffee shop and try to talk it through. It doesn't work out. I'm telling you that whatever promises that you make in those casual meetings, they end up being one-sided. They want to hold you to whatever your promises, but whatever promises you made, they won't be held to whatever promises they made. So they don't end up working. Don't engage. In fact, it's better if you block them on social media, block them from your contacts if you can, block them from your phone if you can. If you've got kids with them, obviously it's not so easy to do that. But, I would highly recommend that you don't engage in any sort of communication that's not absolutely necessary. Now, if you've got children with this person, obviously you can't completely disengage from the person, but to the extent that you can, I would highly recommend that you do. If you have to engage with this person, if you have to communicate with this person, I would definitely recommend that you communicate in a way that you can keep track of. I recommend one form of communication, and I recommend that it's a way that you can keep track of it where you have a time and date stamp. So email is definitely best. And if you have children, court approved apps are good, such as Our Family Wizard, Talking Parents, Co-Parenter, things like that. They're not going to like it. They're not going to want to have to do that. They're going to want to light you up with all forms of communication. They're going to want to flood you with every possible way. That's why you're going to have to block a lot of the forms of communication if you can, even if they're a family member. I know it's hard. In my situation, we have a family member who is a narcissist, and we've had to do that. And it's not an easy thing to do. But for your own health and your own sanity and your own soul, sometimes you have to do that. It's, you're exposing yourself to toxic fumes that are just not good for your health. It's like smoking. Surgeon General puts warnings on packages for that because it's not good for your health. And it really is not good for your health. I mean, it actually starts to penetrate your body. We hold stress in our body, and studies have shown that stress actually does take effect on our bodies in lots and lots of ways. So I've done all kinds of videos on how stress affects our health. And, you don't want to allow that to continue to penetrate you. So that's just something that you have to take care of your health. Okay. And be ready for what's going to happen next. If you're in a divorce situation, they may file all sorts of things with the court. They may start to file false pleadings. They may say things in court system that aren't true. That's okay. Those kinds of things can be dealt with. I promise you, as a lawyer, I've seen it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. It can be dealt with. What's filed in the system isn't evidence, all right? What's written by other lawyers because their client said to say it in a letter isn't evidence. I know it's stressful, but it's something that you can just expect to happen. All right. So make sure you seek professional help, get a therapist, get a support group in place, start to get that ready, surround yourself with people who are going to help lift you up, because you will definitely need that. And if you get threatened by the other person, make sure you report any attacks to the police and get a restraining order if you need to. But definitely surround yourself with support, get the support and help that you need. I do have a private Facebook group which you can get the help and support that you need. They are Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. And in responding to text message or to emails or things like that, I do have 15 key phrases to help you. You can get that at disarmthenarc.com. Just go to disarmthenarc.com, and that will help you with responding. That will help you with writing the emails that you need to write. So make sure you grab that. That is an excellent tool that will help you with responding and writing the emails that you need to write. So that's an excellent tool. If you need therapy and you don't have access to therapy, I have a partnership here with BetterHelp. You can go to betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung. They are an excellent partnership. They're an excellent resource that I have. We do receive commissions. It doesn't cost you any extra. We just want to have you to have access to the help and support that you need. And we only give you access to people that we trust. So